Hi, I'm Chris Wardlaw for Auto by Tel, and today we're reviewing the 2014 Ford Fusion SE. This is the most popular version of Ford's midsize family sedan, and it's got a new 1.5-liter turbocharged EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine under the hood. Now, I've just spent a week and almost 500 miles ferrying my family all over LA in this car, and we liked it quite a bit. Let's take a closer look, and I'll tell you why. Now, what we have in this particular test car is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder EcoBoost engine. It's new for this year, replaces last year's 1.6-liter EcoBoost engine. And you might be doing the math there and thinking, well, why would they bother? Let me tell you. In some global markets where this car is sold, there are taxation issues associated with engines that are over 1.5 liters in size. So Ford is actually benefiting from global economies of scale by using the 1.5 liter in the US Fusion as well as around the rest of the world. Now in the US you can also get the 1.6 liter EcoBoost engine from last year, but only with a manual transmission. Now before you think, oh, smaller engine means less power, don't worry about it, because this actually makes, on regular gas, more horsepower than last year and a little bit more torque. The problem is it's at higher RPM. But Ford has geared the transmission so that the car feels really lively off the line. There's very little turbo lag. So you really don't have to worry about it. I was really surprised by how powerful this engine felt. Now, unfortunately, I didn't get anywhere near what the EPA said I was going to get in combined driving. We averaged 23.5 miles per gallon with this car. I really expected better than that. And it illustrates a problem that a lot of Ford owners seem to be having with these EcoBoost engines, which is the EPA says they're going to do one thing, in reality they do something else. But I'm not going to knock it. 23.5 miles per gallon out of a family car isn't bad. It's about the same as a V6 though, and that's really where the disconnect is. Now to pop the Fusion's trunk, you can use the key fob or this touchpad that's located right next to the reversing camera, right under the Ford badge. 16 cubic feet of space is a pretty good size for a midsize sedan trunk, and as you can see, I got all kinds of room in here. But I would suggest that you pop the few extra bucks to get the cargo net that attaches here, because on a couple occasions some bags tipped over in here and some items rolled and got stuck in the little corners back there by the back seat, and even for a guy who's as tall as me, that's a stretch, you know, digging your wife's wallet out of the back of the car. Now there's a 60/40 split folding rear seat that helps to expand cargo capacity, but there is no center pass-through where you can carry 4 people and skis at the same time. To close the lid, you just use this handy handle right here, which is conveniently located on the left side. But because this is so thick, you've really got to watch your wrist and get it out of the way just in time. Now when you get the SE model, you get a 10-way power adjustable driver's seat. And I like to sit up tall with a great view out. Combined with this tilt telescopic steering wheel, I'm able to dial in a perfect driving position. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned that there was one thing that Ford needs to do to create better harmony in families, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. This front passenger seat does not offer height adjustment of any kind, and it sits kind of close to the floor. You can't even get a height adjuster as an option, not even one of those manual pump kind. And if you upgrade to the top trim level of the Fusion, the titanium, you can't get a power height adjuster. And it doesn't make any sense to me, because as a result, neither I nor my wife wanted to ride in this particular seat in this car, because you sit low compared to the dashboard. You feel like you're all hunkered down in the car. I mean, some people might like that. It might make them feel safer. We don't. We like to sit up nice and high with a good view out. The other problem is that because of the angling here, which again is designed to provide good thigh support, your butt is actually really low and it's kind of tucked behind this pillar. So getting in and out when the seat is all the way back anyway is a huge pain in the you-know-what. I think this was probably, of anything about this car except maybe the My Ford Touch system, that's the biggest oversight, and Ford really needs to correct it. Okay, so there's a lot of modern technology inside the Fusion, even at this under $30,000 price point. You've got 2 configurable screens on either side of the center-mounted speedometer here, with controls here that help you get through the different menus and select the different features. You've got the My Ford Touch system here with navigation. This is an option on the SE model. I think it's worth getting, especially if you don't know where you're going half the time like me. And it's not as bad as Consumer Reports and maybe some people might have you believe. Ford has been steadily improving my Ford Touch, and I feel like the latest version of the system graphically is much cleaner than it used to be. It's more responsive, so if you want to call, whoops, sorry about that. If you want to call up the audio menu, it's real easy. If you want to call up the navigation menu, it's fairly easy. On a couple of occasions, I felt like the buttons weren't really responding to me, but I've got super dry fingertips, and so it could just be that. But graphically, it's very pleasing. I feel like, because I've got bigger hands and fingers, I feel like some of these button choices could be a little bit bigger. Fingerprints are a big problem with this system, but you know, it's not that bad. So let's try adding a phone. I just want to show you how easy this is. Let me get my iPhone ready to pair. All right, so this is ready to rock. It's finding sync. It found sync. I press sync. It's discovering. Yeah, this is taking a little bit while. Well, see, it didn't take that long. All right, pair it up. Choose yes there. It's pairing. This is actually, compared to some cars, this is really super simple. So I'm all set. Now it's going to ask me if I want to download my phone book. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and say off, apply, and now I'm just going to delete my phone because I have to give this car back today and it doesn't need to be paired. Okay, so that was super simple and easy. Once you've got that going, you've got buttons on the steering wheel that activate the voice activation feature of my Ford Touch. The one thing that some people might not like is that this is a touch screen here. It's not an actual screen, it's a touch panel. And so to change fan speed, you have to do this. And I find that it requires a little bit more attention than would knobs or even hard buttons like, you know, most cars have. Okay, so the 1.5 liter EcoBoost 4-cylinder engine is a really terrific little motor. We just accelerated from a red light in regular drive mode. Very small, subtle hint of turbo lag, but boy, the torque spools up pretty quick and the car gets moving. Most people are not going to feel like it's underpowered, despite the fact that it is only 1.5 liters of displacement, 185 horsepower. The transmission is a 6-speed automatic. It offers a sport mode if you just pull the stick all the way back, and manual shifting is available via rocker switches on the side of the gear shifter. Not ideal, but Ford is assuming that most people aren't going to be like, you know, rookie racers running around suburbia trying to maximize revs, and I think rightly so. So I've got it in sport mode now. We just waited for some pedestrians to cross the street, lights red, and when you've got it in sport mode, the car still has that little hint of turbo lag, but the character of the car changes. It's a very subtle change, but it feels a little bit stronger, almost like the overboost system in like a Mini Cooper or something. I might be stretching that just a bit, but it does feel different to me. I found that when I'm in regular drive mode, especially driving around in town, it feels a little bit sluggish sometimes, like it's reluctant to downshift, especially when accelerating from a stop. But in sport mode, that's not the case. The only thing is that when you get used to driving around in sport mode, you've got to remember that when you put it in reverse, you've got to go 3 up instead of 2. And what I find myself doing if I'm backing up is putting it in neutral and revving the engine and looking like an idiot. Ford does an outstanding job with its electric steering. It doesn't feel like it, ever. Doesn't matter what speed you're going, what you're doing, it feels utterly natural, and they absolutely deserve applause for that. And I could name a long list of manufacturers that should probably deconstruct this system and just copy it. Suspension tuning is also remarkably well done. Now, this isn't a sports sedan, okay? But it drives kind of like one. And what I mean by that is that ride motions are exceptionally well controlled. The car absorbs bumps when you can find them in Southern California. It absorbs the bumps, and it does so with a very quick settling motion. So if you go over a dip or a rise or a small rise in the pavement,